Thank you. Okay, everybody.
Welcome to Read My Lips Radio,
The
a
old
lively
brand.
hour of unscripted conversations with savvy creatives.
Yes.
Producer and host, akaRadioRed, asks novelists, artists, photographers, designers, comedians, actors, musicians, composers, screenwriters, directors,
Recording in
and technology
progress.
innovators about their creative passion, inspirational muses, and how they create. Ooh, how those lips can talk. Now, here's akaRadioRed.
Thank you to the voice of Radio Ryan, who always does my introduction. I'm Radio Red here in the house, and those of you watching us right now live or soon to be, I have rebranded the show. So it starts out with the Creativity Show, because that's what we're all about. It used to be, I don't know, somewhere in there with creatives. The Creativity Show, Read My Lips with AK Radio Red. We got to keep that. And the tagline, and I know my three guests today are going to enjoy this: cool conversations, bold ideas, no pressure, and real creativity. So there you go. So I think all three of you, oh, Evelyn's looking like, yeah, I could do that. I could do that. I could do that. Yes, there we go. Before we get started in earnest, I don't know who Ernest is. I told my mother once I dated somebody named Ernest, and she said, but was he sincere? It was only one date. There you go. My mother had quite a sense of humor. So let's go around the table. I want you each to put up the fingers in the shape of the letter L for me, and we're just going to do a quick shout. Oh, Evelyn, that's unbelievable. LLL is lovely, lanky Laura leg. So on the count of three, join me in saying hello, LLL. 1, 2, 3. Hello, L, L, L. Let's try it one more time. That was a little lagging here. 1, 2, 3. Hello, L, L, L. I feel like Mitch Miller with the bouncing ball. Follow the ball. Okay, LLL, lovely lanky Laura Legs, our most loyal listener, and she will write me a book report. Glen, Dr. Robison, and Natalie Kelly, and Evelyn Kelly. I'll get a little report, Evelyn, at around 6:01 p.m. Eastern today, and she will tell me what you each said on the show. Glen, she's writing a report about you, and she's going to absolutely adore you. I tried to get her to move to a place with L. I'm living in Loudon, Tennessee. She lives in Whitestone, New York, Natalie, and we just can't get her to move to a place that starts with L. Would be lovely, lanky Laura Legs, our most little Laura. Yeah, anyway, never mind. So today is September 8th. I can't believe we're Labor Day was last week. I wasn't on the air. It's just hard to believe it's going that fast. It's the 251st day of the 2025 Gregorian calendar. It used to be the Julian calendar, and I don't know if anybody else has birthday in the beginning of October. Hello, hello. But many of you just didn't have birthday for years because Julian's calendar just, Natalie, it skipped like 14 days in October. I know, you know that. And then one day came along Mr. Gregorian. I don't know if he was a pope yet or not. And he said, I'm going to fix that. We will have a leap year every fourth year, and we'll add a day and we'll align with the moon, and it will be a beautiful thing. And then October got their birthdays back. There are 114 days left to this year. It's the 37th Monday. I'm the only one who cares. And if you are a Virgo, August 23rd to September 22nd, happy Virgo, happy zodiac sign. Is anybody here a Virgo? Anybody? Glenn or Natalie or Evelyn? I'm a Libra. I try to be fair and balanced, but it gets really, really difficult. Just to do a couple of celebrity birthday shout outs. Pink, the R&B and pop singer who uses a trapeze in her acts. She's 46 today. Happy birthday, Pink. And David Arquette, the actor director. I didn't know he was a pro wrestler. Did you know that, anybody? No, he married his co-star from Scream, Courtney Cox. Didn't last long, but they were married. David Arquette is 54. Jimmy Rogers. Anybody remember Honeycomb, Won't You Be My Baby? He passed away years ago, but he was born on this day in 1933. Peter Sellers, you all know him. He was born on this day in 1925. He lived to 54. And country singer Patsy Cline, crazy. She was born on this day in 1932. And I have one more fact before we get started. On this day in 1935, listen up, there was a radio show called The Major Bowes and His Original Amateur Hour. And a group called the Hoboken Four performed. Evelyn, listen up. The Hoboken Four included a 19-year-old singer named Frank Sinatra. 1935 on this day. What was so special? They sang a song called Shine, which was done by the Mills Brothers. What was so special? Even more, 40,000 people called into the Major Bowes Amateur Hour to vote for this act. That was the most votes in the history of the show. Are you impressed? Anybody impressed? That's something, Glenn. Can we figure out how many 40,000 callers would be today if somebody emailed or pinged or something? Can you imagine? What do you think? That hundreds of thousands?
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be something. So Frank Sinatra made quite a splash at the age of 19 in 1935. Okay, so I'm going to open the show now with I have a special introduction for all of you. And when I call your name, I want you to just wave and smile. So here we go. Welcome to the Creativity Show. Read my lips with me, where sparks ignite, bringing you cool conversations with creatives. We are shining bright. AKA Radio Red takes to the air on her Scarlett Mic live stream, inviting the voices that may inspire you and you to dream. Evelyn B. Kelly, wave hello. Natalie, oh, that's some wave. Wow, you got the wave award there, lady. Natalie K. Kelly, you can wave just as well. And Dr. Glen N. I got all the middle initials, Robison, all wise, sharing moments where insight and magic arise. No blah blah or babble, just conversations in play. So stick with us for the next hour. We're flowing creativity your way. And now I have special introduction for each of you. Evelyn, are you ready for yours?
Absolutely.
Oh, God, I love her spirit. Here we go. From Knoxville's hills in 1934, young Evelyn dreamed of go, go, bye, bye, and more. Known as an information junkie, young Evelyn read with delight. The encyclopedia, not Nancy Drew Mysteries, kept her up late at night. Pre-med at Tennessee with ambition so wide, then seminary studies turned Evelyn's scholarly tide. With a husband in Florida, farm life took hold, yet her teaching and science made stories unfold. PhD earned, Evelyn wrote with great flair. From genetics to travel, her words filled the air. With daughter Natalie, so far they visited 88 countries they would see. They co-wrote Love Affair with Travel, and soon the USA will be. Evelyn, did you like that?
Oh, that was superb.
I'm so glad. I'm happy. And Natalie, you're next. From Gainesville roots and Ocala farm skies, Natalie learned early where resilience lies. A farm girl at heart, with ambition to lead, she carried those lessons in action and deed. Through 40 years' service in government's halls, Natalie's voice has shaped mental health policy, breaking old walls. CEO of Fame, all in caps, she guides with might, doubling state funding to make futures go bright. With honors in service in health, she stands tall. Top woman in government, Natalie has answered the call. With Evelyn, her mother, global adventures begun. Their first trip was chosen for wonder and fun. Italy, Greece, and France set the tone. Co-writing Love Affair with Travel, their journeys are shown. Natalie, what'd you think?
I loved it.
I'm
Loved,
glad.
loved, loved it.
I'm glad. I'll take all three. And Glenn is with us from Fillmore, Utah, where small town dreams grow. Young Glenn fought asthma, yet he let his hopes show. A counselor once told him, forget college, farm instead. But Glenn kept believing in the path he would tread. Mowing lawns at 10 to herding cattle in sight, Glenn worked through the hardship, kept his goals set right. Through med school, residency, trials that were tough, he learned that persistence was more than enough. Now podiatry blends east and west in Glenn's care with prolotherapy healing that's skillful and rare. A master of realism oil painting, Glenn's art dazzles bright as he brings wisdom and healing into the light. Glenn, what'd you think?
You're good. That is really
You're good. Thank you. And here's the closing for this part. So gather round where the cool vibes and the cool kids sway. Everybody sway with me as we dive deep. Oh, you do it. As we dive deep into creativity today, aka Radio Red's energy lights the way. We hope to inspire you to live large, love life, and play. So what do you all think? Good opening?
Yeah.
superb.
Show's over. Thank you. I had my fun. Okay, you can go home now. No, I want you all to wave hello to LinkedIn and two hands to Facebook. We're on two channels and on YouTube. I don't see anybody watching live, but they'll catch up soon. I'm sending out the Pony Express is taking the flag around to tell them it's time. Yes, that's appreciated. I'd like to go around the table and just briefly ask each of you to tell us a little more about who you are, what you do, a little bit more about your life, because in 12 or 14 lines, I just captured a little smidge of who you are, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. Evelyn, I'm putting you up first. We're going to see your beautiful face and your gorgeous blouse. I'm just, I want the blouse when you're done with it. Okay, please. Evelyn, I'll put you on screen now, and I'd like you to tell us a little more about your background. So welcome, Evelyn B. Kelly. Welcome.
Okay, my background is this. I am an information junkie. I love all kinds of information. Everything from I'd like to know how this electricity or how this computer works. Everything from history to art to music, everything, even including podiatry. I am very interested in. So that is a little about me. What else do you want to know?
I want to know what was it like? Oh, let's see, on the farm, what was it like with all of the degrees you've gotten? A little bit about the path that you've taken. Give me a little more flavor, Evelyn.
Okay, the farm, I liked it. It was okay. I learned to do things that I had never done before. For example, I know how to scrape corn, and I know how to do all of these things that you would not think of doing. So, but whenever I could get out of it, I would. So that is where Natalie and all of the other kids came in. See, I got out of it by going and working on different places, like teaching at night.
So you got out of scraping the corn by teaching at night. I would say that's a very interesting alternative to changing what you were doing. Is there a special technique, Evelyn, to scraping corn? Is there something I should know about?
Yes, you get a corn scraper. Yeah. And, and then you put it in, and if you're going to can it, you have to cook it for about an hour and a half, and then put it in the cans and hope it doesn't spoil.
Okay, thank you. I just bought white shoe peg corn frozen in a pouch with butter sauce. I never do that, but I'm interested to try it because I like white corn and I can't eat corn on the cob anymore. So, do you think it's going to be good, Evelyn? Should I?
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, I'll tell whoever brand it is. I don't think it was Green Giant. I'll tell them that you blessed it. Thank you very much, Natalie. I'm putting you up. By the way, the light is coming up through the slats. It's the afternoon light here in my part of Tennessee. So if you see me with stripes, you'll know that Glen is nothing that you need to see. Nothing. It depends on where I move. We got little, yeah. Okay. If you see me moving around a lot, it's because I'm trying to outrun the sunshine. Natalie, delighted to have you. Gorgeous you. I'm putting you on full screen. Why
Oh,
don't you tell us a little more? Come on,
okay.
you've been a whirlwind for years now. Come tell us a little more. Go ahead. Welcome, Natalie.
I am the type of person that's always on the go. I don't even really know exactly how to relax. Well, I'll take it back. I relax during college football season on Saturdays, watching college football. Yes, that's when I relax, especially if my team is winning, I relax. Otherwise, I'm not relaxing. I run a statewide organization that I work 40 to 60 hours a week. I do travel the state all the time. So I am around the state of Florida. I was born and raised in Florida. And but I did move outside of Florida a couple of years. I moved to Washington, D.C. So I had an opportunity to really experience Washington, D.C. and work there for a national organization. But I actually enjoy working. And I love working on the book that we worked on, and now we're even actually working on another one. So it's just been such a joy. I just don't know what time off is, but that's okay because that keeps me moving, and I am more creative when I move.
Okay, that's interesting. We'll get to the creativity and what moves you and grooves you in a little bit. Thank you very much, Natalie. You only work 40 to 60 hours a week. Evelyn, she's some slacker. I don't know about that. We're gonna have to talk to her about that. I think I'm pulling about 40 and I'm supposed to be semi-retired now, so I get it. Dr. Robison, so happy to have you here. By the way, I met all three of you at a recent National Publicity Summit online, and I booked you well, I had to put the two ladies on the same show because, mother-daughter co-wrote the book. And then I said, Glen, why don't you join us? And here you are. So, Glen, I'm delighted to have you, and we'd love to hear more about you. So please go ahead.
Well, I got the best seat in the house. When I met Evelyn and Natalie, I tell you, they are so incredible individuals. So, yes, it's an honor to be here. when they plopped a cow heart on my desk in the 6th grade, I think that's when I became interested in medicine. And they gave everybody a little razor blade and said, go after it. And everybody was squeamish. And I grabbed that razor blade and I started cutting open up the heart. And then it was lights on for me. I mean, I could tell you more from then on, but being on the farm and my dad reaching in his pocket and says, man, if you're going to be a surgeon, you better learn how to cut skin. And I was like, I've never castrated a pig before. And he says, go for it. And so I had to do that as a young kid. And then it progressed, and I had my little challenges to get into college and medical school. Yes, it was a great big challenge for me, but a lot of learning, a lot of neat experiences. So now in practice, 26 years, I still show up to work, the first one there, and I'm still the last one to leave. And I always tell people I've trimmed probably over 1,200,000 toes. So, but I do more than trimming toenails. So.
We know. How did you choose podiatry, Glenn?
I had broke my ankle in the 8th grade, and the family doctor says, look, you got a bone chip in your ankle. I says, well, take it out. He goes, I'm not taking that out. And so it left a little void in my mind. It's like, oh, whoa. And when I got to college, my advisor says, you should be a podiatrist. And I says, well, what's that? So I went and worked with a podiatrist, and I said, man, this is what I want to do. Yeah.
Interesting. I was going to say that's a footnote to your life, but I'm sure you've heard that one. I know, Natalie, it doesn't get any better than this. I used to do stand up. Now I just try to be funny sitting down, and some days it's a hit or miss. What can I tell you? Well, thank you all for the introductions. I'd like to go now to the part of the show where I've asked each of you for a quote from a song lyric or a movie or TV fictional character, and we're going to relate the quote. You are going to relate the quote to your own creativity. So, Evelyn Bell Kelly, I looked up the quote you sent me, and I'm going to read you a little history. It's the title of a song. A lot of people use it. Used to have a friend who used it as her signature on her email. Laissez le bon temps rouler in French, okay? That's the French version, but we'll get to that in a second. The title of the song Evelyn sent is a jump blues song recorded in 1946 by Louis Jordan and his Timpani Five. It's a mid-tempo 12-bar blues. It's a blues standard and one of Jordan's best-known songs. It was written by Sam Thiard, which is like thread with the R and EA flipped, a New Orleans-born blues singer and songwriter, and was co-credited, listen to this, kids, to Fleecy Moore, his wife. She helped write the song. Third, that's Theard, showed Jordan the song in 1942 while playing in the clubs in Chicago. The tune developed over the years until Jordan recorded it in New York City in June of 1946. It reached #2 on the Billboard R&B chart in 47. The flip side, Ain't Nobody Here But Us Chickens, was the top #1 record in 1947, and the song spent 6 months on the chart. It got a Grammy Hall of Fame award in 2009. It was inducted into the Blues Foundation's Hall of Fame in 2013 as a classic blues song. And in 1961, at the 3rd annual Grammys, Ray Charles won Best Rhythm and Blues Performance for his version of, wait for it, Let the Good Times Roll, which was included on his 1959 album, The Genius of Ray Charles. So that's the story. And Evelyn has sent us the quote, let the good times roll. Laissez les bon temps rouler in French, I pretend. Evelyn, how'd you pick this song? And what does this have to do with your creativity? Natalie, did you enjoy the history lesson there?
I loved it.
I'm glad. I love my research. Evelyn, how'd you find this one and what does it mean to you?
Oh, baby, let the good times roll. Oh, baby, let the good times roll. I like it because this is kind of a joke that we had with our family, and it added to our creativity. My husband was one that absolutely loved that song. And whenever we were working and nobody wanted to work except him, but he wanted all the kids to work, and I got out of it. All he had to do is say, "Oh, baby, let the good times roll," and they just said, "Rah." Anyway, this is the way that it hit myself as a creative person, because you have to let the good times roll in your mind. And this is kind of an interesting little tidbit that I will tell you. Uh,
Mhm.
my husband always, he had a group of people that he would go to a restaurant, and they always had this song that they would say to each other. And there were a bunch of black guys and white guys, and they'd all come up to him and say, "Oh, okay, let the good times roll." And so when he died 5 years ago, we really thought about putting that on his tombstone. Let the good times roll. But we backed out. So it's not on his tombstone.
That has to be one of the, I'm going to use a word I'm making up, but people have done it before. That's one of the funnest quote stories I've had on the show. Evelyn, you're a blast. Have you done theater, Evelyn? Have you been on the stage?
Listen, that is my secret ambition for my next employment.
I'll work something out with you, dear. We don't want to wait too long. You can
Oh,
go. Well, we'll just do it. I have an idea for you. I have an idea. I'll talk to you
please
after the
don't
show.
wait too long because I'll be 91 next month.
Listen, my mom, Ruth, lived to 100 years, 1 month, and 15 days. She lived on her own in a high-rise building, a fancy schmancy building. She played bridge and mahjong. She played the piano. I have her baby grand piano here. Her neighbors would complain, Evelyn, if she didn't play often enough because she could fill the room with music. She played since she was 10 years old. And when she heard of somebody passing in their 90s, her comment was, too soon.
Yeah,
So don't you dare. And
I
she
agree. I
she lived
concur.
on her own. She lived alone. And I lived 5 miles away and I took her shopping once a week. And she was just this independent. You remind me of her. Okay, let's move on before I start to cry here. Natalie has sent a quote from the movie Sweet Home Alabama, 2002 romantic comedy drama. I love when they put all those genres together. Directed by Andy Tennant, written by C.J. Cox. The film takes its title from the 1974 Lynyrd Skynyrd song. I don't know if you knew. I guess you knew that. Reese Witherspoon plays Melanie Carmichael, a New York fashion designer who returns to her southern hometown to finalize a divorce with her estranged husband, Jake Perry, played by Josh Lucas, before marrying her fiance, played by, Patrick Dempsey, with a lot of interesting people. Mary Kay Place, I remember her. Jean Smart was in it. Well, who doesn't love Jean Smart? If you haven't seen her show Hacks, you got to watch it. Amazing. Anyway, the character who said this is named Earl Smooter, Smooter, played by the actor Fred Ward. This was back in 2002, 23 years ago already. And the line Natalie has picked it, I don't have a clue here, is you can't ride two horses with one ass, sugar bean. Okay, Natalie, rescue me. What does this? Glenn, can you believe what some people send me? Okay, Natalie, what does this have to do with your creativity?
It's one
Speak.
of my favorite quotes. It really is. And the reason is because you have to focus. You can't be off running around you really need to focus. And when I'm moving, that's when I am best focused. And that's when I am the most creative. So that is the reason why when I thought about this, I had a couple of them from this movie because, see, I'm from the Deep South and I'm a big proponent of the Deep South. So I just had to share this movie and the quote in it, and I love that quote.
I love the quote too. No, I have to use that once in a while. If I keep a compendium, if you will, or a guy. Watch, the sun is just striping me right down the middle here. Sun, go away, go away. My daughter comes. Son, go. Never mind. I keep a list of favorite quotes, Natalie, and some guests come on the show and they say, I don't watch movies, I don't watch TV, and I don't listen to music. And I want to say, have you ever been alive? I mean, what world are you not living in? Anyway, so I will send them where they say, I'm going to quote Winston Churchill. I said, well, you're not because that's not my show. But I want to quote Winston Churchill or Maya Angelou or I don't know, Mark Twain. And I say, listen, I used to accept quotes from real people. Glenn, I can't tell you how many times every year on all of my shows, and I had 3 series, now I've got 5, but 3 series at the time, how many people quoted the same quote from Winston Churchill, the same quote from Gandhi, the same quote from Maya Angelou, the same quote from Mark Twain, and once in a while they threw in a John F. Kennedy quote, or Henry Ford. They liked Henry Ford, Thomas Edison. That's it. Same quotes all the time. And after a while, I was saying, "Oh my God, let me yawn and go to sleep already." The same damn quote. So I said, "Let's switch it up." About 3 years ago, we're going to make it fictional characters. You're going to have to think about a movie or a TV show or a song. And people said, "Oh no, I still want to send you a quote from Winston Churchill." Sorry, that's not my show. There you go. So there. Okay, I'm getting to you, Glenn. Glenn sent a quote from Jimmy Dugan, played by Tom Hanks, who's been in the news recently. We won't talk about that. The movie is A League of Their Own, 1992 sports comedy drama. There we go again, sports comedy drama, directed by Penny Marshall. Anybody remember Laverne and Shirley? That Penny Marshall. It's a fictionalized account of the real life All-American Girls Professional Baseball League called the AAGPBL. That's a mouthful. Stars Tom Hanks, the wonderful Gina Davis. Madonna was in it. Laurie Petty, I don't know her. John Lovitz, know him. David Strathairn. Whoa, Gary Marshall. Okay. Rosie O'Donnell and Bill Pullman. Interesting. It grossed $132.4 million, and it was received acclaim for Penny Marshall's direction and the cast. Now, there were two variations on the quote, Glenn. I'm going to read both. The one you sent is, if it was easy, everyone would do it. But there's another, that's a variation on what he actually said in the movie was, it's supposed to be hard. If it wasn't hard, everyone would do it. The hard is what makes it great. Okay, Glenn, so whichever version you want, talk to me.
You had it right on the second one. I just kind of briefed on the first one, but I remember when they're boarding the bus and they're all complaining about what they had to go through to play this game of baseball. And when he said that quote, I was like, "Oh my heavens, this is me," because that's my life. When life gets hard, I just crack the champagne bottle because it's going to happen. So things good are going to happen, and it does. You just got to persist through it. So,
yep. If it was easy, everyone would do it, and then we would all be the same, and there would be no resilience, right? Why would we need resilience if everything was easy?
Well, if everybody's a podiatrist, who would fix the heart? So.
There you go. I like that a lot. By the way, I have a close relative. I won't name who it is, but at around the age of 10, they were helping when kids fell in the schoolyard and bruised their knee, and they were getting the Band-Aids from the teacher, and they ended up being a doctor, Glenn. So they wanted to, I'm thinking of you with the razor blade and the heart on the desk. And yeah, a lot of people got that idea very early. So we'll talk after the show. Okay. Now, thank you all for the quotes. I appreciate it. You all did your homework, and I always like looking up and learning a little bit about all of this. Now, Evelyn B. Kelly, I'm using your middle initial. I am going to combine two of your creativity statements, and I'm going to read them. You don't need to find them. I've got them right here in front of me. And I'd like you to unpack them, just like they say on the news shows. This is not a news show. We're just having a nice conversation here. I want you to unpack them, and then we're going to go around the table, and I'm going to open it up. If Glenn or Natalie has anything to say about these, just now listen, Glenn, watch very closely. I know you're a foot doctor, but we're talking about hands. I don't know what a hand doctor is called. You can wiggle a nice finger at me. I respond to this, 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 and this, but not the middle one, okay? Wiggle a finger. Natalie, you didn't think you were coming on a comedy show today, did you? Wiggle a finger, and I will see you, and you can comment on what Evelyn has said, and that way we turn it into a real round table. I might call on you anyway, but you can volunteer it. So Evelyn said, I write from an outline, including research that I try to add new touches to. And she also said, I write from my office looking out on the woods. So we've got a where and we've got a how. Evelyn, can you tell us a little more about your writing process, please? This is what we're here for. So talk to me.
Yes, I can. You ask also about how we create. I create at different places, but there is one really serious time in which I am the most creative. At night, and this is because of an overactive bladder, I have to get up. And when I go back into the bed and to the bedroom, that is when I am the most creative. Therefore, I get that in my mind, and then I can get up and go in my office and sit in front of my computer and look out the window at the woods behind my house.
Does that frighten you at night, looking out at the woods behind the house at night? I keep all my shades down at night. It doesn't bother you?
No, 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 no. We've got two fences, and they would have a hard time getting through them.
I
Yeah.
feel much better now, Natalie and Evelyn. I feel much, I feel safer now. So now talk to me about writing from an outline. What kind of an outline? Is this for your, are you writing anything besides the travel books with Natalie? Evelyn?
No, We're just doing travel books together. And actually, the outline, each one of these stories have an outline that you have to do. And I kind of do it on paper, but I don't always follow it. But I kind of have it in my mind. So I would say I do write from an outline, but this is because I've had a lot of experience in writing and writing for magazines and so forth, where you have to do that. So yes, I do write occasionally from an outline, especially uh, when it gets too dark and I don't want to look out in the woods.
There you go. Have you ever heard, Natalie, of Evelyn or Natalie, have you ever heard the term pantser versus plotter? Those are British terms for writers. And a pantser is somebody who writes by the seat of their pants. They just sit down and they just write and write and write. And I can include you in this too, Glenn. And a plotter is a person who outlines and lists maybe the table of contents at the beginning and says, I'm going to have 10 chapters and these are going to be the titles. And they can go from that outline to any place in the book, fiction or nonfiction, and they can fill it in at the time they want to. A pantser just sits down and says, well, I'm going to write the ending first. Well, that's a good ending. What are we going to do now? And a lot of people go by the term hybrid. They're part pantser and part plotter. So, Natalie, what are you?
I would definitely be hybrid. I can see the pantser part because I feel because I'm just always on the go and I'm best at when I'm driving or traveling. Um, that's when I'm really creative and I'll think of something and that's when I will write it down and then I'll start working on it. But that's how I do things. But I could see a hybrid too because after I do that, then I need to be there very methodical and outline it and make
There you
sure
go.
we have everything online.
There you go. Glenn, what about you? Pantser or plotter or hybrid?
I'm probably the uh, plotter. I outline everything. And then, because I'm a structural brain of mine, but then I have fun to fill in the gaps. So, and just go with it. But I'm like Evelyn, I have to bullet point, have my chapters out, then I can go with it.
And I want to clarify, I didn't say plodder, I said platter. So I don't want anybody saying I'm plodding through your book.
It's my hearing.
Well, I've been working on my novel, my novella. It's not going to be a full-length novel for about 2 years now, and I thought it was just about ready to release. And I don't know if anybody's ever going to buy it, but I'm going to give it to people I know and like, and I'll put it on 99 cents on Kindle or something like that. It doesn't matter. But the point is that I thought it was ready, and then I went back and started rereading it. It's about 150 pages in a document, and I went back and started reading it, realized that I needed to change the names of a couple characters. It's fiction, but it's based on real life. So I have a pseudonym and I'll tell you after the show because people who, Evelyn, if anybody recognized my name, they would come after me because it says if this book you think it's about you, it probably is. That's the disclaimer at the front. Go have a drink, go get a better psychiatrist, maybe go get a good foot massage. That might help them. Or, I said, don't be like, what's her name and what's her name and drive off the cliff. It's not my fault. Anyway, so I went back and I realized that I need to be more methodical because there are some logic of what a character did and didn't do that I didn't follow through well enough on. And I said something in the book that I didn't define properly early on because I changed something like what this community was doing. So I'm realizing I have to go back and I'm picking at it. And I'm actually having fun doing it. So I only write on weekends. I'm one of those, I don't know, I plod along. I work during the week and I write on the weekend. Never mind. Okay. So thank you, Evelyn. I'm going to go to Natalie. I'm picking your creativity statement number 1. I like this one a lot. I'll read a little bit and ask you to blow it up, unpack it for us. You say, I create stories that celebrate the transformative power of travel. And this is the part next that I like to talk about. Through memoir, through reflection, and through humor, I turn lived experiences into meaningful narratives that connect people across cultures and generations. And we know you've co-written the book with your beautiful mother, Reinvention, Resilience, the Joy of Discovering the World and Yourself at Any Age. Very well put. So let's talk about transformative power and how you convey that. How do you convey that to people with lived experiences and humor? Can you give us an example of a chapter without giving too much away? Natalie?
Oh, I would say an example would be to that story when we went to the Galapagos Islands and I met Diego.
Hold on there, lady. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. My heart is pounding. What do you mean you met Diego? Who's Diego?
Diego is the hottest tortoise on the Galapagos Island. He has fathered most of the tortoises on the Galapagos Islands. In fact, he was on the front page of the New York Times, and the headline read, Galapagos tortoise, sex craved Galapagos tortoise single-handedly saves the tortoises on the Galapagos Islands. So that's what the whole thing was about. So something like that to me, when I got to meet something, like Diego or a place that is so unusual, that really inspires me to share that with other people. How many people on this earth have had an opportunity to go to the Galapagos Islands, to understand what happened there, and to see mammals and so on, and reptiles that you will never see anywhere else, but then to see really the man, the tortoise of the Galapagos Islands. And I named my dog after him.
I would say that Diego's a dude.
Yeah.
I have a show called Cool Dudes. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, Glenn, I hear you. I hear you. We'll talk. Glenn, talk. What do you want to say? Glenn wants to talk to you.
Well, Natalie, when you go on these, and Evelyn, when you go on these places, do you take mental pictures or do you take physical cameras?
I was going to ask.
Great question.
Yes.
My mother, she journals. She writes everything. She is writing all the notes from the guide and everything the guide is saying. She writes it down. I don't. I take the pictures. I've got the camera. I've got the iPhone. I am constantly taking pictures. So we work really well together because she can capture it by word. I can capture it visually by picture.
Natalie, are the pictures in the book? Do you have Diego pictures in the book?
Diego is in the book.
Ooh, I think Evelyn sent me the interior of the book. I have to look at it. I will. Oh, I can't wait to see Diego. When you said I met Diego, I'm thinking somebody with a sombrero and a mandolin and, a bottle of wine or whatever. I don't know.
A couple of those too.
Margarita. Yeah, there might have been other Diegos in your life. Yeah, we won't talk about that. Thank you very much. That was interesting. So let me ask you, how important is humor in a book like yours? You mentioned, and you obviously are very, very humorous about how you described this wonderful Diego. I do want to meet him. But the question is, how do you know? Humor is a cultural, contextual thing. How do you know how funny to be? I don't think I've ever asked this question of anybody. How do you know how funny you can be and have people appreciate it and not say, oh, that was really out of bounds, or I'm not reading her book. So how do you judge that? Natalie, you have a humor meter, your
Well,
humorometer?
I would tell you, I think humor is critical. I really do. I mean, we want to laugh, we want to smile, we want to enjoy life.
Oh yeah.
And that's the way I feel. And I think humor is very important. Now, not everything has humor to it, but those things that we find humorous, that we want to write about, we want to share that with the world, that's what we do. And I think it is very important. I think it's very important to smile and have a good time. Just like my mother said, let the good times roll.
There you go. There you go. Thank you very much. Glenn, I'm looking at I want to talk about your painting. I really, really do, Glenn. Glenn's statement number one, taking a blank canvas and making a masterpiece. The blank canvas, well, he's going to relate it to his practice as the person who needs help when in pain, and the blank pages of the book that need ink and the canvas needs paint. Oil paint, I see what I want in my head and then I start painting. And Glenn, didn't you tell me that you're here we go. Glenn says, I display my art in my Mesa, Arizona office where there are no TVs and no magazines. You walk into the art gallery with close to 70 paintings throughout the entire office, from the waiting rooms to the treatment rooms to my office to the central check-in and check-out. Go to drglenrobison.com, and click artwork tab. I'm going to do that. Glen, talk to me about your art. I have only about 300 paintings here in my house so far, and I haven't painted in the summer because it's too hot in my studio. But how often do you paint? What are your subjects? Give us a little primer or primer on your art, please.
Well, I paint every week, especially since COVID started. I kind of put down the scalpel and picked up the paintbrush. And so I have a designated time every Wednesday. I paint with my professional, I call her a guru painter. She studied realism art for her entire life. And so as I'm picking up pearls from her every week. But we've been doing this now for 7 years. Yeah, it's I always say to her, I says literally painting saved my life. And you know, I love humor. I use humor every time I walk into the room with a patient. But this time in my life, it was not humorous. And when I went through a divorce and things like that happened, I had to pick up the pieces, and painting saved my life. So yeah, every painting I paint is strictly black and white when it starts out, and then I start to put the color in, and just layer upon layer. And I'm trying to paint that masterpiece one day. So
Are we looking at some of your artwork behind you right
there
now, Glen?
is, there's,
Tell
there
us.
is,
Oh my.
there's a woman with a horse. There's the
Yes.
woman in the red dress. The woman in the
Yes.
red dress, I painted that all black and white, and it just was so finally.
Mm-hmm.
I was impressed me that I didn't want to put any color in there. And then I got this idea. I said, well, why don't I just put a red dress on her and leave everything else black and white? So
Beautiful.
that's how I left it. And it's really the only painting I have that has two, black and white and a color.
Now, I want to know about this realism art because you mentioned in your notes to me that paintings from hundreds of years ago still look fresh and new because of the layered technique. So, can you describe that for Natalie and Evelyn and me, please?
So realism art is using a technique called glazing. And the old masters, if you take the Mona Lisa and you stick it under a microscope, they will have multiple layers. And people think that, is this the original, or is it a copy of a copy of a copy? Well, Leonardo da Vinci, if he didn't like something, he would just paint over it. And then he'd keep painting over it. And it's a glazing technique that you put layer upon layer. And so until you get to your finished product. And so you use transparent oils. And it was interesting. I had a patient in just a few weeks ago, and he'd been painting his whole entire life. And he showed me one of his paintings, which was extraordinary. And he says, I just can't get the face right. And I says, well, have you ever done glazing? He goes, well, what's that? But he's been painting his entire life. And so it's something they do not teach in the universities. Usually those that understand this technique are ones that have been learning from the masters of Leonardo da Vinci, Michelangelo, Raphael. So.
Very interesting. And what was your I want to know about that lady in the red dress. Is she a real person? How do you find your
I saw
subjects?
I saw I saw a picture of this woman, and my wife, now that I am remarried, I put her picture up there, and so I painted her, and so that's my wife now. So I just kind of put her in there.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I see a child behind you up at the top. Is that a
Yeah,
boy?
so that is my little boy. He was 6 years old at the beach, and so I painted him. I took the picture myself, and I just wanted to paint him. The ocean scene is a mirror image of a storm coming in or going out. It depends on the person's emotions. I have it in one of my room, and I always ask the patients, what do you think? I mean, they always tell me, I don't have to ask. They say, well, that I would not want to be in that boat. And so I know that their kind of emotions are like, oh, they see the storm coming at them. And other patients will say, no, that storm is going away, and I'd love to be there. So I can pick up on where their emotions are being in the doctor's office. So
Fascinating. I had a doctor on my show, I think it was a year ago, who also, I don't know if she did her own paintings, I can't recall, but I only have about 150 guests a year, so forgive me for that. But she mentioned that she had paintings in her office. I think she was a therapist, and she said the paintings evoked emotions that she and the patient, the client, would look at Natalie and Evelyn and Glenn, and they would look at it and it would bring something out in them. It would make them sad, it would make them happy, it would help them remember something. And they were used as, I'm going to roughly use the word, as a stepping stone to opening a conversation. Ah, isn't art about conversation, isn't it? You have it in your head and then you share it with somebody else. So we go to a museum. We don't want to just stand. We want to say, hey, look at that. That's why I'm so happy to have you sharing your paintings, Glenn. Very, very interesting. So you paint every Wednesday. And for example, can you give us, this is a dumb question, but people, how long does it take you to make a beautiful painting like that one with the boat on the water, Glenn?
The one in the boat
I'm
took
not
about
asking that. Somebody else is asking it. I'm channeling them. Go ahead.
6 weeks on that one. But the Last Supper in the waiting room took me 9 months. I just did one of my wife and I on the beach. It is a 36 by 48. It took me about 5 months. Most of them about 2 to 3 months to paint, but I'm always painting 3 to 4 paintings at a time.
Your
So
work
here's
is
what's interesting though
Yeah.
about painting. You know how that counselor told me I'd never make it into college?
Mm-hmm.
Because I got a 7 on my ACT score. Well, my art teacher, same school, says, Glenn, why don't you go to wood shop? You can't paint. So, yeah.
Do you know that the famous ballad singer, Anita Baker? I don't know if you remember her. She hasn't done anything in a while. She had a music teacher tell her she'd never make it in the music industry and she should find something else. Yeah, I know. It's just amazing what people have told us we couldn't do, we shouldn't do. Thank you, Glenn. And Glenn, we haven't mentioned your book, so why don't you just briefly tell us what your book's about, please?
The book right behind me is called Healthy Dad, Sick Dad. It's been out for about 5 years, but it's still, selling out there. It's about my kind of, I call it mini memoir. It's when I was in medical school and my health went south. And so when I got into private practice, it really went south, and I got introduced to a mentor that basically saved me and saved my daughter. And I put 15 years of that information I learned from him into that book. So now I'm helping diabetics. I'm helping people with low immune system. I'm helping healthy people. It's.
Thank you. Thank you. Very, very interesting. I have my art in so many places. Somebody mentioned to me that they needed more walls for theirs. I said, I've got about 20 paintings here in my office on different walls, and I've got a whole hallway from my pink phase, which was my early watercolors and geometrics phase. And then I have them stacked up on the floor underneath my TV set in the living room. I live alone, and I have a bunch stacked up in the guest room and more great big ones in the guest room. And I have some in the garage too on one of the walls because I like to look at my art. I don't sell it. I don't have a gallery or anything, but it gives me pleasure to see. And Glenn, mine is mostly abstracts, but I'll show you after the show. I started a technique about a year ago that I liked so much. I showed pictures to the salon where I go. I call it the Red Factory. I'm going this week, Natalie. And they liked it so much that they asked if I'd like to display my art in the salon. And I'll tell you what it is. I use an AI program, don't think badly of me, to create a face. I say, give me a redhead with glasses and red lipstick, just a face, just something that is pleasant to me. And then I print it out very quickly on a piece of, and this is usually in color. I print it out on acetate, 8.5 by 11. Remember, we used to have slide projectors in school. Natalie and Evelyn remembers, and used to put those clear acrylics on and it would project on the projector. I print it out on a piece of clear acetate, and then I run down to my art studio, Glenn, and I take this with this still wet ink, and I slap it very carefully, press it on a piece of 12 by 12 white cardstock, and I rub my hand over the back, and it transfers like a tracing.
Wow.
So I get the outline of the face, of the jewelry, of the glasses, of the lips, everything. It's not what I saw online. It's just the image, the impression. And then I go to work on it. I do acrylics, I do watercolors, I do collages, I do glitter glue. I have jewels, fake jewels I put on the eyes that are in different shapes and different colors. And then I frame them. I have frames for the 12 by 12. I mat them and I frame them. And I brought 8 of them to the salon, and they're displayed on a wall there. I have a bunch here, and I can show you after the show. But they're fascinating, and I call it my what do I call it? My embellished art. That's what I call it, because I didn't design the face. I gave the prompts for the face, but I gave, and for example, Evelyn, they might have a woman with a lot of hair like mine, very curly hair. I will paint in different colors and give the hair. I'll put some gold glitter through it, and I'll put some reds and oranges, and I will take old candy wrappers and gold from I don't know what it was, Dove chocolate or something, and I'll cut it and make a necklace out of the gold candy wrapper and put a fake jewel on it, so it becomes a collage. Glenn, interesting?
Yeah.
Very interesting. My teacher has a saying. She says, "It's not what you paint, but how you paint it." And my interpretation of that is, with each stroke of the brush, you put your emotion into that, and so now the picture comes to life.
Yes.
And yeah.
Well put. I want to read you, all of you, we have a couple of minutes left, not a lot, and I want to read you some words of wisdom here from Kurt Vonnegut. I don't know if you all remember. He lived till 2007, American humorist and author of satirical and darkly humorous novels. Natalie, he only wrote 14 novels, 3 short story collections, 5 plays, 5 nonfiction. He was writing for 50 years, and more collections came out. And he says, go into the arts. I'm not kidding. The arts are not a way to make a living, Glenn. They're a very human way of making life more bearable. Practicing an art, no matter how well or how badly, is a way to make your soul grow. Sing in the shower, dance to the radio, tell stories, write a poem to a friend, even a lousy poem. Do it as well as you possibly can. You will get an enormous reward. You will have created something. Is that something? I just love, Natalie, what do you think? That's some quote, huh?
Yes, that's incredible.
That's incredible. Yeah, I keep that in my notes. And also, do you ever get in the zone when you paint, Glenn? Do you feel you're in that zone?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Everything else is gone. Well,
nothing exists.
Kobe Bryant had a quote about when you get in the zone, it's a supreme confidence. Things just slow down. You really do not try to focus on what's going on because you can lose it in a second. You have to try and stay in the present and not let anything break that rhythm. I think those of us who are creative can identify with that. I want to read you all a poem I wrote. I write poetry with a writers group at Writers Digest online every Wednesday. And during the we get a prompt from the moderator early Wednesday morning, and then we write whatever we want. There are probably about 30 or 40 of us now, but during April, Evelyn, during April and November, we get a prompt every single day. It's called the PAD, Poem a Day Challenge. And I write between 3 and 5 poems a day for the entire month of April. I've been doing this for, it'll be the 3rd year. I've written about 700 poems. I have a cute little chapbook I wrote with mine, but I wrote a lot of poems about my mom after she passed away. But I wrote this poem in July of 2024, and the prompt was night shift. And I wrote an acrostic, meaning the letters NIGHT, are written down the side of the page. I'm not going to show it to you because it's in my notes, but I'd like to read it to you. We have just about 3 minutes left, so I think you'll all appreciate this. This is for Evelyn and Natalie and Glenn. Never quite really at rest. It's the life of a creative. Going, gripping, gyrating, growling, groaning, growing, highs and lows flowing on a mental Mobius strip. The days are the nights or the days, again, shifting off and on, into and out of gear, hoping for unique brilliance even once. It's a calling, command, curse, roller coaster, finding eureka, euphoria amid frustration, fears. Thus is the life of the creative. What'd you think?
Superb.
That's
Eloquent.
special.
Thank you. Thank you. I have a lot of fun. I do acrostics every week, and I also am the researcher. The word was wall the other day. He gave us a prompt of the word wall. I go look up the history, the etymology of the word, and I put it in. I say today's silly etymology lesson, and then I write a poem about it. So it's a lot of fun. If any of you would like the site, I'll give you the link later on. It's free, and it's just you just sign up with your email and a password, and that's it. I'm looking at the clock here. We just have about 2 minutes, so I'm going to close. Instead of rushing, I'm going to close. And I want to say, and please, guests, please stick around with me for a little bit afterwards if you have some time, and we'll just chat, and I'll show you some more of my art, Glenn. Evelyn, you're a pip. You're a live wire. You remind me a little bit of my mom. She would have done and said some of the same things, although she grew up in Pennsylvania. I don't think it was a farm, but I think it was farm country back then. And she was born in 1917, just so you know. and lived 100 years. And we had a television show together called Senior Moments, the Happy Ones. We did 259 shows together, Natalie, and we celebrated her 100th birthday on one of the shows. She passed a couple weeks later, but it was quite something. She was the real star, I called. Everybody was her best friend by the time she was in the green room and got to know them. She was a pip. She made up a middle name. I'd say her name was Ruth B, and she'd say, I'm Bettina today. I said, who's Bettina? She said, I don't know, that's my middle name today. She just made stuff up. We had a blast. Okay, so here's my closing, and I want you to listen up. So, ladies, this is for the ladies. In 2014, I closed with the top 10 tips for women. Oh my goodness, we're getting late here. The top 10 tips for women, and the number one tip was aspire to be Barbie. The biatch has everything. Okay, that was the number one, 2014. I kept those notes. Here we go. Final closing. Life is short. Break the rules. Yes, everybody. Forgive quickly. I'm still working on that. Kiss slowly. It's the only way. Love truly. Yes. Laugh uncontrollably. Everybody laugh with me. 1, 2, 3. Pretty good. Not bad. And never, ever, ever regret anything that made you smile. Final words. Work like you don't need the money. Right, Natalie? We do. Dance like nobody's watching. When I was teaching disco in high heels on a tabletop in front of 250 people in my class at a high school auditorium cafeteria in Eugene, Oregon, I didn't fall, but people sure watched. Sing like nobody's listening. I didn't sing too much on today's show. And love like you've never been hurt. We all have. Let your heart grow. Rejuvenate, be resilient, and learn to love again. Money talks, chocolate sings, la. And last but not least, I stole this line from somebody 20 years ago, Glenn. Thank you for turning me on. Okay, everybody, wave goodbye. We're going to say goodbye. And Jordan, thank you for being our engineer. And we're just going to close this out. Bye, social. Bye-bye. Okay.
Recording stopped.
Okay.